All right, going live. Another little video here. Bring you guys some information. And I'm going to be answering some questions that I've been asked. But today we're going to talk about Palo. I'm not talking about Santa Muerte today. We're going to talk about Palo. There's a lot of questions people have, right? And they send me private messages, even though they know that I'm not the type of person that comes in here unless I'm interviewing someone else. But I'm going to start giving my opinion out there, right? Something I don't do. Now, I'm not here to give secrets, to share secrets with you. First of all, everyone in each Munanso, in each tribe, each Rama, each lineage, does things different. There's no one Enzo, Munanso, spiritual house, or one person who knows all the secrets when it comes to this traditions. Every Munanso, every spiritual house, they have their own way of doing things, right? There's no one universal. There's not one universal or one way specific of doing things, right? That's why we have many spiritual houses, and every one of those spiritual houses have their own way and their own secrets of doing things. With that said, I'm not here either claiming to know everything or claiming that I understand everything. I'm here to share with you guys my experience and the teachings of my elders. Not the teachings of other lineages or other things, the teachings of my elders. That's what I'm here to share with you. A lot of people's like, well, what is the process? What is it that we have to do in order to be considered, or in order to practice, or in order to receive the ceremony in Palo, right? Whether you're talking about Kimbisa, you're talking about Palo Monte, you're talking about Mayombe, Briumba, and there's so many other ramas, right? Even if you want to call it Nkunia Finda, Nkunia Melo Tasikwambula, whatever you want to call it, right? There are many different ways to go about it. First of all, you need to find someone that you feel comfortable with, that you feel like that you connect with. That's the first thing that I would advise. The second is to get a reading to see if you have a path in that tradition, right? Or in this beautiful tradition or practice. I understand that not everyone is born to practice this tradition. For example, in our house, in our lineage, we don't care about your skin color. Okay? I'm going to say that up there straight up. There's some other houses that do, right? The only thing that we care about is that you're straight. That's it. In other houses, they don't care if you're not straight, right? But there's reasons why we prefer the persons to be straight, right? Because there are certain oaths and rules that we follow in our lineage. So once you went to a tata, even a yaya, and you have a walk in it, doesn't mean that you are accepted in that Munanso or that spiritual house. It means that you have a walk in the practice. But that Nganga that the Tata or Yaya is divining with by saying, no, they have a path on it, but they are not Kwenda, they are not welcome in this Munanso, in this spiritual house. Another thing that I'll suggest, always ask questions. Ask all the questions that you can. And that person that is agreeing to give you a ceremony should be answering all the questions you have. They should not be hiding anything from you. They should also be able to tell you why is the reason that you are being called to this practice, which we're talking about Palo, or why is the reason. They should be able to tell you this is your Ensila. Your Ensila Congo, which in your Ensila Congo, it gives you why and what type of person you will be in the practice, what type of spiritual, the future of your spirituality, all through a symbol, all through a sigil, all through what we call the Ensila Congo. So let's say your Kwenda means that you're accepted and that Nganga accepted you. Okay, your reading went fine, you agree with it. There's a derecho, right? That means a form of payment or a payment that you pay to be initiated. It could be probably from $1,000 all the way to $5,000, let's say, right? It depends on the house. Now, most of these people that are charging $5,000, $6,000, $10,000 are people that are very famous in the community, or they have written a book. From what I've seen, they have some sort of book out there. They have a little bit of fame, so they use that fame to take advantage. And then here they're charging $6,000, $7,000, $10,000 for initiation, where you can go to another house and do it for $2,000, right? It depends. Now, from my experience, I'm not saying all the houses is like this, and from the stories that I hear of people that I speak to, right? Some houses will charge you $1,000, but the classes are not included. So for each class they give after that, now you have to get out of your pocket to join in the class, right? Different things. Now, I'm not claiming that everybody does that. It's from what I heard. Is it true? I don't know. If it's not, I don't care, right? So now you both agree. You gave your derecho. Now you're going to go into the ceremony, which some people call it rayamiento. Some people call it enquimba. Some people call it embonsamiento. Some people call juramentación, right? There are many names out there. It depends on the spiritual house. Like I said, this is not only one-way thing. There are multiple ways of saying things, multiple ways of doing things. Now, you go through that process. Now, it's a very hard, emotional ceremony. It's an all-day ceremony where, in our case, we take you to Infinda, that means the forest, and we present you to certain things. We present you to a tree, right, that gives blessing and asking if everything is going to be fine. There are some houses that take you to the river. There are some houses that take you to the ocean. They take you to the cemetery. There are some houses that don't do that, and everything is done in front of the pot because they have everything within the pot. Okay? Some houses just go into the forest and they'll introduce you to what is called your Nkuni, right? The tree that walks with you. You go through all the process. There is what we call a rompimiento, right? Which is a spiritual cleansing. That if you're a man, I'm going to give you two different ways, right? But I'm going to give you the way that we do it here. If you are a man, the tatas will give you that rompimiento in our house. If you are females, the yayas, there's no male present, are the ones that are going to give you the spiritual bath. Right? In our house, you are not completely naked. We always ask you, if you're a man, to wear boxers. If you're a female, to wear a swimsuit underneath, right? Now, in other houses, they say because if it's a man and the man is the owner of the pot, then the man will give you that rompimiento or spiritual bath. Laws are laws, rules are rules. every moon and so puts their own rules, right? Whether if that tata's trying to take advantage of you and say you're naked, it's none of my business. Rules are rules. So make sure that you always ask those kind of questions. If I get initiated, especially if you're a female, right? Are you as a man only gonna do it, or what females do it? Who is gonna be the one doing that spiritual bath, that rompimiento, if they do a rompimiento, right? Like I said, normally nowadays, the females, the yayas are the ones that do females, and the males are the ones that do males. But there are those who still follow those old tradition and say, well, that's my nganga, and the only one that could do a cleansing on top of the nganga is me, the tata, right? And the reason why I know that is because I come from a spiritual house, Maleko Makwen and Sara, Rosewater. I come from a spiritual house that's the way it used to be. The tatas used to give the spiritual bath to the females, tatas and yayas included together, right? So the tata will be seeing you butt naked if you were a man. If you were a female, the tatas will be seeing you butt naked. In the opposite way, the females were seeing you butt naked. When I got initiated in the year of the dinosaurs, it was yayas and tatas together who gave me the spiritual bath, and I wish they had told me that I was gonna get a spiritual bath of rompimiento, so that I would have prepared myself and I wouldn't gone the way I did. At least I would have, taken care of myself down there, right? So you will receive that. Now, like I said, I'm not here to tell secrets, but I will go through some things that that are already out there, people have exposed there, but I'm not going to go into the whole shebang, right? About the ceremony of Enquimba, embolsamiento, arrayamiento, fundamento, whatever you want to call it, right? Now, after that, there will be a part that they will put something around your eyes so you don't see the ceremony. Now, there are some other houses that will have you in front of the pot, and you're going to be on your knees for a long time, because those are houses that bring Christianity in. In our house, we don't do that. They call penitencia. We do not do that in our house. We don't bring nothing to do with Catholic Church or Jesus into our tradition or our practice. We don't mix that, right? But they will have you there for a few hours, and they'll tell you ask God and this and that and that. Some houses do that. My respect to them. If they do it their way, that's their way. Like I said, every munanso has their own way and their own rules. They're not munansos. They are all alike. Everyone has their own rules, right? Then they'll grab you, walking in, then they'll start the ceremony. There will be a lot of singing. And I'll tell you my experience when I got both of my initiations. Actually, I got initiated 3 times for something else, right? But it's very nerve-wracking, right? You get very nervous. Your eyes are closed. You can't see. You're holding on to someone. You're walking without seeing. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of noise. Right, it gets you nervous. Some houses love to play little games. Let us say, bring me the snake, put the snake on top. I'm one of those assholes that do that, right? Because we're trying to see if you are serious about it before we start this initiation, right? Because it's very serious initiation, right, into Palo, to any of the ramas, right? When I say ramas, I mean Quimbisa, Santo Cristo Buen Viaje, Mayombe, Briumba, whatever, right? Guys, it's serious. It's not a joke. Palo is a beautiful tradition if you know what you're doing, if you pay attention. If you're the type of person that jumps from house to house, getting a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, try to stay in one way. Respect your godparents. The reason why you enter that, just because somebody does something here in this house, doesn't mean that it's exactly the same way in your house. Each house has different ways of doing. It's like a fraternity, right? That each fraternity has the different rules, different things. And I always give this example, right? Because we get godchildren that come from other houses because they're happy, and we in our house we also get godchildren that might leave and go somewhere else, right? So if you're one of those persons that are not happy, imagine yourself working at McDonald's, right? And you know everything about McDonald's and knowing all the rules about McDonald's. But then you leave McDonald's, now you want to go to Wendy's. When you go to Wendy's, don't do the things that you were doing at McDonald's, because in Wendy's, they say, yeah, that was McDonald's. This is Wendy's. It's different. Even though you already know how to make a burger and prepare a burger, but you don't know how to prepare it our way. Right? Hope you guys understood that. Be respectful. Be kind. And that's what I say in the beginning, before you even decide, ask those questions to that yaya, ask the questions to that tata, have a conversation with them, see how you feel, if your energy goes well with them, right? Because there's some people that want to come here because they know that we teach. Our house is known for teaching, right? Listen, there are cases. I'm not here to speak about other moon and souls, right? And in our moon and soul, there are cases, but for example, we give you a makuto, right? Now, we're not going to give you an empaka. Like, I'm going to give you an example. In our houses, when does somebody receive after an adoption? That means the person has been in engay already, and the person has been a tata or yaya. They get adopted, and then we give them a lucero, right? But when you are first an engayo, that means your first ceremony, you should not be born with any engayo, or you should not be born with an empaka, unless it's a dire or need situation that you are born something to protect you, but it's not an enganga. Okay? Now, when you go into tata, now according to the old tradition, when you became a tata, you were also born with that enganga. Right? Now, but back then there was only Engeyo and Tata. Now we have Engeyo, Tata Nganga, Tata Nkisi, Tata Nkisi Malongo. Right? Now, for us, when we put Tata Nkisi Malongo, that means that during your initiation, they play the drums. Right? Vamos a hacer un malongo. They play the drums, and that's how you become Tata Nkisi Malongo, because they were playing the drums. If the drums were not being played in your initiation, then you're not a Tata Nkisi Malongo. You're a Tata Nkisi, according to the rules of the elders. I'm not saying that I'm saying, I'm just repeating the rules of the elders from our lineage. Okay, and your lineage it might different. But engayos are not born with encuyos. Engayos are not born with luceros. Engayos are just born engayos. Now, can we give him a makuto, a resguardo, the day they are born? If it's to protect itself, for example, somebody came to get scratched for protection, right? Because they have death, and I want to give him a little resguardo, a little thing to wear around the neck and stuff. Yes, for us that is cuenta. That we have no problem to the that's us, right? Other houses might tell you no are born. It depends on the house that you come from. Okay, it's very simple. The initiation is beautiful, right? Us, we don't like to touch alcohol when we are doing an initiation. Nobody in our moon and soul is allowed to drink during an initiation. After initiation, if one of our godchilds want to have a beer or wants to have an alcohol, that's them, right? But you will never see Yaya and Tata drinking during an initiation, because that's how important it is for us. Now, if other people do it, that's on them. They could do it. That's their rules. That's their moon and soul. But the reason why we don't allow people to drink, because we want to be serious, right? This person is paying for something, a ceremony to be done right. There's no horse playing. There's no, oh, I'm drunk. Let me start, cutting up and doing stupid things because I can't handle my liquor. So everybody in our Munanso must be without any alcohol in their blood. If they come drunk or if they come already drinking, we tell them wait in the living room. You're not allowed to participate in their ceremony. And we also don't want any excuses because the person has too much to drink, and all of a sudden they say they're mounted by the spirit, or they're possessed by the spirit, and it's just that they're drunk. Okay, but it should be a beautiful experience. Now, what happens? So there's a part in this in the thing, right? And a lot of people misunderstand this. There's a part in the ceremony when you get smacked or you get hit with machetes, right? But that's a ceremony. That's like showing what happened during that time and the time of slavery. We all went through that. Me here that I'm talking to, I went through that. I got my ass whipped by machetes, right? But it should not be abusive, right? There is taps with the machete, and there's people that are very abusive, and they love to just pop with all the strength. That I don't see a reason why, right? I don't see a reason why to be hitting a human, another human, that's the thing, right? But like I said, every Munanso has it. Here, every time I see one of my godchildren that is hitting and I see that godchild getting out of hand, I'm like, Tuandale Kwame, you don't do that. I always remind them, take it easy. This is not to make the person suffer, okay? There is a part that happens, but it's very necessary. Now, there are some in Sila Congos, in Silas, when we're doing the reading that comes out and say, wait, this person has this in Sila, and at least in our Munanso or in our lineage, we are not going to touch this person, right? We cannot hit this person because that in Sila talks about them being an energy or a direct child of something, or the energy that walks with him, and we are not allowed to touch the person or else we get cursed, right? So after that, after the ceremony of initiation, basically you go through a purging process, right? Sometimes it's 21 days, 31 days that you should to relax. That you should be calling your yaya, calling your tata, whatever you feel. Everybody has a different experience. It's not everybody feels the same thing. Some people cry a lot. Some people go through a stage of being paranoia. Some people go through a lot of emotional withdrawal. Some people are happy. Some people think that they could freaking take over the world. They feel strong. They feel healthy, right? So after you go through a little purging thing for the 21 days, okay? Now, this is another thing. Someone and souls will say, you're an Ngeo, you don't have a name, and you don't have an Ensila, right? Because you are just something that is born, right? Well, and I say, well, it doesn't make sense. When a baby is born, within a week, 2 weeks, boom, they give them their name, right? And their name is written, so they show them how to write it. So that means in our Munanso, we give you a name when you're in Ngeo, and we give you your Ensila when you're in Ngeo, right? But that's us. Other Munansos do it different. And whatever they do, that's their business. So I'll give, some people do it, some people don't. We do. Because it makes sense. If you were born yesterday, I'm not going to just call you Ngeo, right? So what happens if I have 7 Ngeos? I say Ngeos, or 7 Ngeos, like, yeah, tata, right? No, for here and us and this and so, when you are born, you get your baka, avingeo, and you are given a name, and you are given an ensila. You're given your name, a sigil that represents your name. And if you're, for example, I'm gonna say something, right? Your name is Rompemonte Viramundo. Your sigil is gonna show exactly the drawing that represents the Viramonte, right? Rompemonte, Viramundo. It's not gonna say this and then they put little stars here and stuff, and then in your name, the star has nothing to do. It's just a decoration, and you're like, well, where's the name? If you put a star in your name, where is the star, right? In your name, right? If they say your name is Viento Malo, well, I'm supposed to see a Viento Malo in your name. It's not just BS drawings, right? Some people do it that way. Some people do it another way. Like I said in the beginning, each moon and soul has a different way of doing it. Not every moon and soul does everything alike. Okay. So basically, I hope I explained to you guys the process of Enquimba, right? O embolsamiento, rayamiento, juramento. And like I said, I can't go into too much details because we still do respect the tradition. We respect the rules. There's only certain things that we can say. Because then what happens is people out there that are not initiated, right? There's some people out there that say, well, because I belong to a certain culture, I don't need to be initiated. But then yet themselves are over there charging to initiate others when they themselves did not go through initiation. So that's why I don't want to say anything, right? Because there's a lot of people that do believe that way. And unfortunately, what I'm talking about here is Palo, the Cuban tradition. Cuban or Afro-Caribbean tradition, more Caribbeans, right? Because all the practice that are today is a mix. This tradition is not pure. It's not 100% like the way the Congos did it in Africa, right? It's mixed. It has a mixture of Taino. It has the influence of Christianity. It has the influence of the Spaniards, okay? And if you do your history, you will even see it has an influence of the Mexican cultures. Because if you know your history, you will know that in the early 1700s, the Spaniards took Mayan slaves to Cuba to start also working in the sugar canes and the fields. But it has so much culture, different things about. There's no right now. There's not many ramas that are pure. I think that the purest that still keep things right, I think is Mayombe. Now there's always a misconcept there. We say, oh no, Briyumba is the oldest, and other people will even say, no, Kimbisa is the oldest, and others will say, no, well, Briyumba is the oldest, right? There's always a little confusion there. My thing to you is to do this. Look at history. Look at the history of the tradition. And then look at the oldest house that are still in Cuba, the oldest house. And you're going to see that they're Mayombe. They don't start with Briyumba. Right? That's my opinion. If you guys have a different opinion, well, I respect that. Okay? So, I'm going to do more videos. I'm going to start talking more about Palo. I want to start a little bit with the history. Okay? Because there's a lot of confusion about the history, but I want to start talking about the history that was taught to me, and also from the research that I've done, the history that was taught to me by my elders, but also the research that I've done, and also from friends that have shared knowledge with me. A lot of good friends out there, elders from other moon and souls that have said, well, this is the way we saw, and this is the way that we taught, right? This is the way that we were told. Any questions, feel free to ask. It was going to be a short video today. Hope you all have a blessed day. Thank you for watching.